Margaret Reynolds had always admired her late husband's meticulous nature, but nothing prepared her for the surprise hidden in their garage. Beneath a dusty tarp, tucked behind old boxes, lay a 1957 Chevrolet, rusted and forgotten. Its faded red paint and cracked leather seats hinted at decades of neglect, yet it still held the elegance of its prime years. She ran her fingers over the steering wheel, tracing the scratches her husband had left behind. Memories flooded back, him polishing the chrome on weekends, tinkering late into the night, speaking fondly about the engine's nuances. It was more than a car. It was a tangible piece of his passion and dedication. Margaret decided it deserved a second life. Margaret was no stranger to mechanics. While she had never worked professionally, she had spent years helping her husband restore small engines and repairing vehicles for neighbors. She felt a spark of determination. This Chevrolet would not remain forgotten. She began researching restoration techniques, ordering manuals and original parts catalogs, determined to revive the car exactly as her husband had intended. The first challenge was cleaning decades of dust and rust. Margaret carefully dismantled the engine compartment, labeling each piece, photographing parts for reference. She scrubbed corrosion from metal surfaces, replaced brittle hoses, and sourced rare components online. Her garage became a theater of restoration, filled with tools, rags, and the scent of motor oil and polish. Each day, she worked for hours, learning more about classic car engineering than she ever imagined. She adjusted the carburetor, realigned valves, and meticulously polished the chrome trim. When a part didn't fit, she fabricated replacements herself. Margaret's patience and attention to detail matched that of a professional, and slowly, the Chevy began to respond to her care. Margaret's neighbors noticed the transformation. Some offered advice, others brought over rare vintage parts they had collected. The sense of community fueled her determination. She became fully immersed, spending nights studying classic automotive manuals and testing minor fixes on the engine, listening to the metallic hum of life returning. After weeks of labor, she faced the ultimate test, starting the engine. Her hands trembled slightly as she turned the key. Silence at first, then a sputter, and finally, a powerful, smooth roar. The 1957 Chevy, silent for decades, had come alive again. Margaret felt tears streaming as the familiar growl filled the garage. It was as if her husband was smiling beside her. The next challenge was the interior. Margaret restored torn leather seats, polished the dashboard, and cleaned the original gauges until they gleamed. She sourced vintage accessories to match the period perfectly. Every detail mattered, every stitch, every bolt, every chrome accent reflected the love and passion her husband had invested in the car years ago. Once the restoration was complete, Margaret decided to show the Chevy at a local classic car exhibition. Driving the car through town for the first time was exhilarating. She felt her husband's spirit in every turn, every sound, every polished reflection of the sunset on the chrome. People stopped, stared, and admired the vehicle. She shared the story of her late husband's passion, her dedication, and the Chevy's long-forgotten journey. At the exhibition, attendees marveled at the immaculate restoration. Judges praised her skill, patience, and dedication. Margaret's craftsmanship exceeded expectations. It was rare for someone to revive a car with such authenticity and care, particularly a self-taught mechanic. The Chevrolet was awarded a special recognition for restoration excellence, and Margaret accepted the trophy with pride, imagining her husband beside her. Beyond awards, the restoration gave Margaret a profound sense of closure and connection. She had preserved her husband's legacy, honoring his passion while discovering her own talent and resilience. The Chevy was more than a car. It was a bridge to memories, a testament to perseverance, and a symbol of love transcending time. In the following months, Margaret continued restoring classic cars for friends and neighbors, her skill and reputation growing steadily. She never sought fame or fortune, only the joy of reviving forgotten treasures. The 1957 Chevy remained the crown jewel of her collection, a daily reminder that dedication, love, and patience could bring something long lost back to life. Every time Margaret drove it along winding country roads, she smiled, feeling her husband's presence. The car no longer symbolized rust and neglect. It represented passion, devotion, and the incredible power of someone willing to care deeply for what others might overlook. It was a story of legacy, restoration, and triumph that would be remembered for generations.